Hello, welcome everybody to today's Open Calls Network webinar. My name is Stephen Ringler, and I'm very pleased to be your host today. I'm filling in for Remco Timmermans, glad to have you all here. Today's webinar topic is Farm to Fork and the Soil Deal for Europe. It's presented by the Netherlands Space Office and Groundstation Space. And the objective of today is that we want to bring together the space community across the Netherlands and Europe to try to really form consortiums to bid into these Horizon Europe calls and get funding for some cool new innovative projects. So very excited to have everybody who's joined us on YouTube and Zoom here today. So let me go into a little bit of detail about the upcoming webinar. The first thing to share is the agenda. So I'll be doing a little bit of logistics and welcome to everybody. That'll be followed by an overview of the project by the Netherlands Space Office. We'll then have our keynote speaker that's going to share about some exciting work they're doing at Geronimo.AI. And then after that, Andrei will be presenting some of the calls that are taking place around this particular topic. Then we do this exciting thing at our webinars where we get a number of companies to do 1-minute pitches. The idea behind this is to really welcome and facilitate some conversation to potentially create some consortiums to go for some of this Horizon Europe funding. And then finally, we're going to network. So I know that all of us are more used to digital networking in these days. So we're going to have a breakout room, possibly more than one, at the end so that we can have everybody talk and chat and potentially form some new partnerships. So with that, I'm going to go into a little bit about the pitches. The reason to do this is there's 4 people that we've got signed up to do pitches. If you see your name on the screen, what we'd like to ask you to do, please, is private message Katja. So Katja is working in the background. She's going to be helping us out today on a lot of different fronts. But if you could please message her, do a private message in the chat to Katja to let her know that you're here and that you can send her your slides so we can try to keep the pitches to 1 minute each. So we'll circle back to this a little bit later, but looking forward to those towards the end. So from a logistics perspective, we are going to be using the chat. So this is networking. So I'm expecting to see lots of chats pop up throughout the course of our speakers and pitches, and even during my bit. So please introduce yourself. Share your name, the organization you're from, share your LinkedIn profile, maybe even talk about some of the projects that you're either working on or would like to work on, or the kind of collaboration you'd like to do. And we know that with Zoom, you can use the Q&A feature, but we'd like you to please use the chat feature for any questions to the speakers or to me so that everybody can see what's being asked. So please use the chat feature there. And of course, if you have any problems or any issues, again, Katja's sitting in the background. Thank you, Katja, to help take care of any potential technical difficulties you might be having, so you can private message her if you need to. So we have a live audience on YouTube. Thank you, everybody, for joining on YouTube. You will be able to watch the presentations, but you won't be able to network via YouTube. So if you'd like to network, it is free to join this Zoom that a number of people are on. What you need to do is go to opencalls.space. The link is there below. It's free to register. You'll get a link, and then you can join the Zoom and join in for the networking. That'll take place in about 40 minutes or so. Now, our presentations and replay are available on our YouTube site, so please check out our YouTube channel. And if you want to see any of the past webinars that we've done over the course of the last few months and on different topics, you're welcome to check those out. And if you have any questions, please email us at info@groundstation.space, either now or after the webinar. We will get into some networking at the end, so please join the speakers and each other in wanting to chat and talk about potential partnerships that you might want to make and consortiums you want to develop. But it doesn't end with today's webinar. We like to network here at Groundstation Space, and so Another way to do that is you can join our Open Calls Network LinkedIn page. You can search for that on LinkedIn, and if you wait till the end, I'll have a QR code up on the screen that you'll be able to follow to join that page. Also, you can follow us on social media. Pick your favorite social media to learn more about the Open Calls Network, as well as Groundstation Space and the Netherlands Space Office. And what I'd like to ask Katja, if you could do throughout the webinar, if you could put some links in the chat of the different social media areas that folks can click on. It might make it easier for people to join, whether it's Instagram or Twitter or Facebook. Now, what's the objective of what we're trying to do? It's threefold here at the Open Calls Network. The first is that we want to select particular space opportunities in the Horizon Europe funding calls to share with the space community. So there's a lot of different calls, but there are some that are more specific and tailored to the space industry. Secondly, we want to highlight and promote the knowledge and expertise of the Dutch space sector, in particular the data sector. And thirdly, and most importantly, we want to connect Dutch and European specialists to form successful consortia to apply for this funding. So that's why this invitation goes out all across Europe. And so we're grateful and welcome to everybody who's joining. Now, what you can do, you'll notice a link at the bottom here of opencalls.space, which I'll show you on the next slide. This is one of the great resources that we offer here, which is effectively all the different calls that we think might be relevant to you and your companies in the space industry, all in one location in very easy, bite-sized summary versions of what the call is about. So it can help you make very early bid, no bid decisions, at least whether you want to actually try to put a bid in or not, or want to explore it further. There's one-page fact sheets on there. So check out that website. It's great. It has a lot of excellent information. The other way that we work is through these webinars. So you can see that we've had about 7 webinars to date on different topics that are listed here. We're actually at our last one for the year, but there might be more coming in the new year. So at the end of this webinar, we'll have a QR code for you to sign up to our mailing list and to stay informed about upcoming webinars. So without further ado, we're going to move into the other speakers and listen to some of the great things they have to offer. So I'm going to first turn it over to Coco at the Netherlands Space Office. She's going to give an introduction to the project. So thank you so much for joining us, Coco.
Yes, thank you for the great introduction. I'm going to quickly share my screen. I actually only have one slide. I'm going to keep it very short because you did a great introduction. I don't have much to add to that. I just wanted to welcome everyone also from the Netherlands Space Office. My name is Coco Antonissen. I'm an advisor on satellite applications at the Netherlands Space Office. And our objective with these webinars and the open calls website with all the fact sheets is to help you, the Dutch space industry, but together with international partners, to form partnerships and to be successful within Horizon Europe and possibly other European programs. I hope you have found and find this useful in the future. Please make use of all the fact sheets that are available. And yeah, I can basically only echo what Stephen has been saying already. Make sure to connect to each other and network and yeah, good luck. I'm very looking forward to the talks by Tom and Andrei. And that's all I want to say for now. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Coco. Much appreciated. So we'll just quickly share my screen here again. And our next speaker is our keynote today. So Tom is a co-founder of Geronimo.AI. And as I've also dabbled a lot in AI, I'm super keen to hear what Tom has to say. So Tom, over to you to share all the exciting things that you're doing over at Geronimo.AI.
Sure. Thanks, Stephen. You guys can hear me properly?
Yeah, we can hear you great.
All right, then I'm just setting up. All righty. Good afternoon, all. Maybe I'll get it out of I'll keep that there. My name is Tom van Loef. I'm one of the co-founders of Geronimo, and today I would like to present to you the development of our company, how we've moved in 4 years from a very heavy engineering savvy startup to a company which has decided to focus on 2 very specific problems and to try to make the best solution for those specific problems and build a durable company on top of that. The way I want to do that is by first giving a very short introduction about our company, and then really going along the development of our products and the lessons we've learned there. And I hope that those lessons might also be useful for you or for the Horizon projects. We started in 2019 by myself and 2 co-founders with a background in computer science and aerospace engineering, really in a very broad field of applying machine learning, AI analysis on remote sensing data. At the time, it seemed that that was in high demand. So since we were trained with those skills, it seemed sensible to start a company. And what you do then most of the time is you put some remote sensing data, you do some AI analysis, and out rolls a map. A map can be of a lot of different things. It can be a map of deforestation, it can be a map of pollution, it can be a map of changing cities. You can come up with a lot of different cases. And we were kind of lucky to be able to make the transition from doing all these different projects to focusing more and more on 2 specific problems and developing a product there. And actually R&D funding was very important for us to make that transition. So I think that is the connection with the Horizon projects, even though we actually did not do any of those projects ourselves. Currently, we're serving roughly 40 clients, and we've grown a little in team size, but that's not too exciting maybe. Before I go into the rest of the story, I want to throw out this disclaimer, because I might give the impression that we really are very critical about making the decision whether a subsidy R&D is relevant for you. It really can be, but we really judge those decisions quite critical. But if you look at our development, it was actually very important. So now, actually, this is the first year that we are fully driven on our own product sales, but it took us roughly 3 years to get there. And during this 3-year process, we really used a lot of R&D subsidies, which we were lucky enough to be very related to the challenges we tried to solve. So that's a disclaimer about the importance of projects like these. What I'd like to do then is briefly discuss the 2 products to see the common denominators or the common mistakes we've made, and to present those as lessons learned, and maybe also to shed a light on how we see the Horizon projects after having developed some products already. So I'll start with CropMap. And CropMap tries to solve a problem which is maintained by governments in the European Union, namely the problem that the government has a lot of agricultural land and it leases this land to farmers, so farmers can use it, but this process is done via bidding. So if you want a piece of land, you can say to the government, well, I'll give you 100K if I can use the land for 6 years. And then your neighbor says, well, I'll take it for 200K. So there's this bidding to decide who gets the land. And a very important piece for that process is that there is such a thing which is called a bouwplan, which sort of restricts what you can do with the soil. For example, it says that you cannot grow tulips 6 years in a row. It might be very profitable to grow tulips every year, but after 6 years, the soil will be completely depleted, at which point your contract ends. And so the government gets back this land, which is now worthless because the soil has pretty much died. And the problem was that there was very limited monitoring to see whether these rules, whether these crop rotations really were complied with. So the solution is actually very simple. And I'm pretty sure we're not the only one who can come up with this solution. To solve this problem, what you need is an objective and frequently generated crop map of the entire Netherlands or of any EU member state. Because once you have that map and you can generate it today and a week from now and a year from now, you can pretty much put those maps on top of each other, and the intersection is your crop rotation. And then that crop rotation is something you can check versus whether that is complied with the bouwplan. And to look at how you do such a thing, this is actually something which might not be that exciting anymore. Maybe when we developed it, it was still a little bit more on the front of the technology. We use two satellite sources, Sentinel-1 and 2. We take those time series, and the cool thing about those time series, for example, the NDVI curve, is that there's some characteristics in that series, for example, that you can determine the crop which is being grown. Now there are a lot of more events in there. For example, the moment of seeding the crop, of mowing, and there's a lot of events in the time series. We only detect the crop type. Now, once we've trained such a model, it's actually quite simple to calculate new crop maps and say what's being grown where. So we made it actually pretty easy. At the beginning of 2021, this was pretty much finished. And at that point, we were like, well, ministry, here you have the map. We'll give you a new map in half a year. And now you can make these crop rotations and you can solve the problem yourself. What we really noticed there actually is that once we have this map, this information piece, the government really did not know what to do with it. So we as engineers, we thought, well, if you have this map, now you can solve the problem yourself. However, the client really needs to be brought all the way to the finish line until the value is completely unlocked. So we did end up actually developing an application after the information, which now results in that the government can log in, they can see a fancy user interface, and they can maintain their process. So this was a very important lesson for us, that as engineers, we might think, well, if you have this map, you're done. But for the client, there's still a lot of work to be done after you have that map. After you have the information, it still needs somehow to translate to the value. And I think that's at least as important of a step as the Earth observation AI analysis, which goes up front. Now, maybe because of the time, I'll skip this part. Maybe also the second product is a little bit less relevant. What we do there is we mostly monitor changes in cities. And also there, the lesson was that we cannot stop by giving a rough map to the client. We really need to unlock the value in that map by attaching it to the process of the client. So actually what we've encountered twice, and also in all the consultancy projects we've done, is that the client has a problem, which is great, because otherwise as engineers, what are we going to do? We need a problem to solve. So we think about this problem and we have an idea, okay, well, if we have this piece of information, then it's solved. And so we give that piece of information back to the client, but he still has no value. Now he has a piece of information, but it's not connected in any way to the end result. And so we always left this gap open until the value is unlocked, and we left it up to the client to solve that. Well, I think what we've encountered is that that second part is maybe even more important than the first. I find it challenging because my colleagues are all very diehard engineers. So the second part is a lot less exciting to do, but that may be the part where you make the difference, which I'm calling here the unsexy engineering, which is required to unlock the value. And more, I have the feeling that with remote sensing and AI analysis becoming sort of a commodity, it might actually be that second part where you can make the difference, where you can have your competitive advantage compared to all the other companies, which also somehow manage to make a map of agriculture, for example. So maybe, yeah, diving into the last two slides. what were the lessons that we've learned over the past few years? Firstly, that infinite insights can be generated. I see a lot of companies and everyone is selling valuable insights, which I'm starting to get a little bit annoyed about, because that would mean that the value still has to be unlocked by the client himself, while we now think that actually the unlocking of the client of the value really is your responsibility as the supplier. Then the second question is, you have all these insights, how close can you attach the insight to money? How clearly can you make the business case? And in that field, we've encountered that it might actually be worth more to focus on specific cases than doing a lot of different projects at the same time. Now, that is not, maybe we're wrong in that, but we've made the clear decision to focus on specifics so that we can become very good there rather than doing a lot of things. So translating to the considerations that we have to participate in a Horizon project, we have 3 questions. The first 2 are posted here. Do we have the competitive edge to deliver the best insights? Remote sensing data is freely available. There's a lot of analysis freely available. Why would we be the company that is best suitable to do this from a technical standpoint? Then after that comes the question, are we the right party concerning the domain? Are we capable to translating that insight to value for the customer? And if those 2 are yes, then there still is a very important third question for us, and that is whether our own goals and strategy align with the project. Because if the answer is no, the perseverance to keep going until the solution works will end once the subsidy runs out. So I think that question is also very important to decide whether you should really invest your time in these projects. Now, we as Geronimo, we were lucky enough to encounter 2 subsidies which really got a yes on all these questions. So we did those, but right now we're very limited on deciding what subsidy we are gonna move into, because it also deviates from the feedback that you get by just working with the client, selling to the client, and you'll get a no if you're making the wrong developments. So that's some kind of considerations we have. I think I'm already past my time, so I'll leave it at that for now.
Tom, thank you so much. That was an excellent presentation. I'm going to open it up for questions and answers. Yes, if you have any questions for Tom and his presentation, go ahead and put it in the chat, or maybe raise your hand and you can speak up and have your question. I'll kick us off. So Tom, I found your presentation very interesting because I work both in space and in AI. And one of the things I thought was particularly interesting is how you went from some just basic information that you provided to multiple products, and you've now got 2 products that seem to be winners in the market. Where do you see Geronimo going over the course of the next year or 2? Do you see yourself developing more products or working primarily with those products in those spaces?
The last. So I really have to prevent myself from having a full-on tunnel vision, because that's of course not good, but I do feel that the difference is made once you specialize. So it's better to do 1 or 2 things and just be the best and get a durable market position, rather than doing all these kind of projects, which I see a lot of other companies doing. And I also think there's a lot of luck actually involved to find those products, but we're going to focus.
Excellent. Any other questions from the audience?
I have a comment actually. It happens to happen that Tom, you are the winner company of the same challenge that I apply with another startup. So I remember in 2019 when this challenge came out. And indeed, I think where we excelled was focusing on the client issue, meaning providing information, not really insights. So that's a big congratulations to you. I have a question about Horizon Europe. How do you see yourself in relation Horizon Europe grants? I mean, are you interested to participate, sitting in consortia, leading projects, or what is your position?
Yeah, so I won't say no, because it's also very important for us to keep an open view. But such the last three questions that I asked, we do really ask those questions. So if the project is not really, we already have goals for our company, regardless whether there is a Horizon project or not. We have a vision about what we want to do and our goals. And if that aligns with Horizon, then it's great. But if not, we're not going to deviate from our own path just to be able to do such a project. So I have not dove into enough depth to actually answer those questions.
Yeah.
So I have to see.
Yeah, you'll see probably a couple of calls that might ring you a bell, because they are quite close to, because what you spoke before in the introduction was the common agricultural policy, which drives the subvention that you spoke about, and then you work for the subvention for the Dutch state. This subvention is being monitored and implemented with different means in different countries. So from this point of view, there's a huge market still to be tapped from this point of view, not only the Dutch case. Yeah, I mean, of course, what you're speaking about two products, but soil is also a really important aspect. So this can be also a way to bootstrap what Stephen mentioned, like bootstrap your research R&D with European money to create another product from this point of view. But again, this is a decision that you have to do, and yeah, success with what you're doing. Yeah.
Thanks, Andrei. And thanks, Tom. Any other questions from the audience? I am not seeing anything pop up, but there'll be plenty more time to chat with Tom. Today, we'll be having, again, the breakout rooms and the networking at the end, so you can save your questions for then too. Our next speaker, I will just share my screen very briefly. We will be having our very own Andrei, who just was speaking a second ago, and he's going to be providing some of the information and insights on some of the upcoming calls. So over to you, Andrei.
Thank you, Stephen. Let me just move this out of the way. And I hope you all see my screen at this moment. So yeah, welcome everybody. Like we did for the past 5 times this summer and fall, I'm here to introduce you and help you identify together with us the most promising calls within Horizon Europe, related this time to 2 important policies related to agriculture, to soil, and biodiversity. Those strategies are Farm to Fork and a Soil Deal for Europe. I remember when we discussed, Katja, choosing the thematics, we decided to put this together because they belong to the same medium, and this is the soil in this case. So Horizon Europe, it's a continuation. It starts where the Horizon 2020 stopped. Horizon Europe, it's a 7th cycle of research and development work program for the European Commission, and the European Commission wants to achieve their R&D objectives, launching within their work program a series of funding through various mechanisms. So the one that we gonna focus today, and then in the past, were belonging to pillar number 2, where you have several clusters, research and development clusters, from health, culture, creativity to food, bioeconomy, natural resources. You have on the left link for each of the work program. It is true that the work program that are linked here, they are for 2020 2021 and 2022. Commission was in cycles of 2 years. So basically, now we are reaching the end of the work program cycle of 2021 and 2022, and 2023 and 2024 now is being developed. In final drafts are there online, but not yet officially published. So these links will probably have to change quite soon once we enter in the new cycle of the European Commission. But you see there's plenty of funding available for the 7 years distributed between these pillars. And something new that has not been present in Horizon 2020, a special place for mission. And a soil deal for Europe is one of the 5 missions that the European Commission launched. This mission, they have a specific objective to promote specific products and research that are closer to the market, but also closer to achieving certain goals, like, for example, clean ocean, or reduce the emission because of the agriculture, and then reduce soil pollution. How do we read the calls if we are faced with the challenge of searching for a call that might fit us? So here I put 2 examples. One is from the pillar number 2, which refers to clusters, and then what we have here, Horizon CL6, it actually tells you that it's a Horizon Europe call. It is being within the work program cluster 6, food, bioeconomy, natural resource, and agriculture and environment. I put in here for you the link also to the work program. This time the work program is the one from 2023-2024. So you would find this call within this document. Now the next numbers, 2023, is quite obvious, is the program, is the year of the program. And then zero pollution, it's actually the destination. Each cluster, they have a number of destinations, sometimes 5, sometimes 7, sometimes even more. And then the destination for this call is clean environment and zero pollution. And then follows the title of the call. The second call, it looks pretty much the same, only that on the second position, you have mentioned miss, which comes from mission. So from this point of view, we are getting out of the clusters, and then we are going towards the mission. This special calls, I think the first batch of calls from the mission were launched in 2021. And again, the year of when the call is going to be open. And then also you have an indication which mission it is, because as I said, there are 5 missions. Then you have an indication what number of the call it is, and then 001. So basically it's the first call from 2023. And then you have again the title, Discovery the Subsoil. Also, I linked in here the link to the webpage of the European Commission for the mission on soil. And also I put also here a link to the missions for 2023-2024, the VP 12. This is where you can consult all the mission calls that will be probably officially published quite soon. What you have on the left, you have YouTube, where the European Commission presents in more detail a number of mission, and then also I think from hour 2 along, because it's a full day of presentation of the missions, and the soil deal I think is the second mission that has been presented that day, and it starts from the hour 2 or something like this. But you should start with this if you want to inform yourself what the Commission want with this mission, what specifically want with this call, because they will explain to you what they are expecting, what type of call it is, and then maybe other details. But also there will sometimes are Q&A that can be very helpful, because companies or institutes, they ask their specific questions about it. And this type of events, they will be organized more often, where missions are presented, updated missions are presented. Also, I put here a link to the mission, the EU missions in general, info days from where you can retrieve. Now, these are the calls that we identify within the clusters. And there's a number of 5 calls. So you have a call that is being issued by OSPA. OSPA is the European Space Program Agency. They also issue quite a lot of calls, specifically focusing on space. For this case, for example, Copernicus-based application for business and policy making, and most certainly have been selected by my colleagues because it has relevance to soil and maybe agriculture. But then also there are relevant calls tied or related, or the outcomes or the impact are related to soil and or agriculture or farm to fork. There's a call on resilience. We identify also within cluster 4, cluster 6, and there's also one on governance, research and innovation action, digital technology supporting plant health, early detection. So yeah, this can be also something that, for example, Geronimo can look into the future. Then that's another call on 2024 on governments. It's supporting the EuroGeo initiative, which is a really huge initiative within Europe on geosurveillance. And then the next page, what you have on the next page is actually the list of the calls that we identify within the mission. They're all going to open on 2023. For some of them, we already have specific dates when they're going to be open, and a specific date when is the deadline. But some of them, since, as I said, the program is not yet formally published, the specific dates are not known. But more certainly, they will start in 2023. They will be published in 2023. So we have here, we start with the call that it's a mix between 2 missions. It's actually a mission between the ocean and the soil. This can happen. I also saw a call that is between the intersection between soil, ocean, and climate change. So soil can be part of this kind of nexuses that is becoming more and more of actuality when you do research and development. And then you have actually all the list in order from 1 to 8 within the Horizon mission from the soil. So as Stephen presented before and then has been presented for the past, we prepare for you on a open calls website fact sheet for each of the calls that you've seen presented in the previous 2 slides. And then within this syncretic fact sheet, you can actually see what is the scope, what are the outcomes, and also what type of call it is, if it's a research and innovation, if the information is available, when is opening, when is the deadline. Also, what kind of activities are available, and also which countries are specifically expected to be partnering. If you click on each of these fact sheets, you will actually be redirected to the page where we have this information present, and also you can retrieve the fact sheet. I took the liberty, like in the previous times, to introduce you a little bit to the strategies that we're looking at, the strategies that dictates basically publishing of these calls. And then I think when you document yourself for applying for a European project, you have to conduct quite an extensive research on the past project, but also what are the aims and the objectives of the Commission, and then you can identify this within this large strategy roadmaps that are published by Europe. So I just put here with the hyperlink the farm to fork strategy, which I think you have to start with it when you think about an idea. And then also I put the EOSOL observatory, which is maintained and developed by my former colleagues from the European Commission. I used to work for GSE, and then GSE's Joint Research Center is part of the Commission, and they maintain this huge portal with a lot of information and data, not only information, but also data. Now, besides these meetings, also where you can find partners, I think you can start find partners within the portal. European Commission European Commission maintains the CEDIA portal, and then you can find there a lot of companies. They are listing themselves as willing to participate in a call as a partner, and then also they list what are their specific knowledge or expertise they want to offer. But if you ever think to ally with companies from the Netherlands or from the Czech Republic, you can also make use of the space industry maps or space ecosystem map that Groundstation.space has published this year. And then we develop together with our partners, and then we offer this product as a fifth product. You can actually download it from our website. As I mentioned, specifically for the Dutch companies, you can get the support of the Dutch Enterprise Agency, RVO, to their national contact points and advisors, which will help the Dutch companies sitting in a consortium to streamline their proposal and then get any kind of administrative or financial information. Because sometimes participating in a Horizon Europe grant, it is very complicated from an administrative point of view, but also is very rewarding. I mentioned before the Euro Portal Single Electronic Data Interchange Area. This is CEDIA. This is where you will find all the tenders being published. It is the formal platform where you can find these calls. And then also, as I mentioned before and presented the link to European mission, I also put here in the end Horizon Europe Info Day. So basically the presentation of the overall Horizon Europe program, if you are interested to get an even larger overview of what does it mean European funding between 2021 and 2027. So that would be my whole presentation.
Thank you, Andrei. That was excellent. Let me share my screen. There we go. Andrei, that was excellent. Let's spend some time with for some questions. So if anybody has any questions, go ahead and either raise your hand or put it in the chat. I'll start us off. So for Andrei, for those that are new to Horizon Europe calls, for example, you presented one call that opens in January of 2023 and it closes in December of 2023. And does that mean that you have all year to prepare and then you submit in December and then you find out in 2024 if you potentially would win that work? Or as potentially our name suggests in open calls, is it an open call so you could it opens in January, you could submit in February and potentially start work in March? Maybe you could share that information with the team here.
Well, this is a whole process that goes. I mean, if we sometimes, once you get your hands on the work program of the Commission for a certain cluster, you start to identify the calls. And for example, we presented here some calls that you can find them even before being published on the portal. So the idea is that a lot of companies and a lot of partners, they will start to form consortia already before the calls being published. Mm-hmm. Once the calls they are published, then you start to form the consortia, you start to gather a lot of information. It's a long process. And also depending on the type of the proposal, if it's an innovation action, if there is such an innovation action, there's a certain template that you have to fit in, a certain number of pages, and it takes time. It takes time to align, get everybody on the same page, and then build a really, really streamlined proposal that also it is in very much connection with the outcome and objective within the code specified by the Commission. And that sounds pretty amazing, but then the deadline comes, you have to introduce all the information in the portal, and then it takes from 2 to 3 months actually for the Commission to review the calls. And then once the winner is being announced, which the winner can be sometimes being announced even after 3 or 4 months, all this information is being published for each call in part. So some calls will take a little bit more time to be assessed and evaluate, some calls less. So for example, we participate in the coordination and support action call, and it has been reviewed after 2 months. But for some other larger calls, more participants, it took 4 months. And then once the winner is being announced, then it starts a negotiation, because actually what you got accepted is just some kind of SLA. So now you have to sign the contract with the commission, which means you have to transform whatever you made within the proposal into a legally binding offer. And then you start a negotiation with the commission. Mostly this negotiation is not really changing too much, but it has to be legally binding. So you have to sign the contract. You have to find if everybody is eligible for the project. You establish the project plan, and then you actually sign the contract, and you establish also the start of the project. So this can take, on average, from 4 months to 9 months. And depending on the program, depending on the project, there are certain variation in how the commission pays. Sometimes can pay 35% at the beginning or 65% at the beginning, and they will wire you the money. But most of the times, all these administrative part is being handled by the coordinator of the project, so we inform all the partners. And then sometimes arrangements are done regarding the payment in such a way that those who need the most money, they can receive the money, so they conduct the research. So basically, it's not something that is carved in stone. It's impossible. The commission is there to facilitate research, not actually just to give you money. So from this point of view, I think whatever they do is to support from the moment that you want the proposal to the moment that you start handing in the deliverables. But it's a process that takes time, as you said. In my opinion, from 4 to 9 months.
Excellent, excellent. Thanks so much, Andrei. So the two key pieces of information I took from that are there's no advantage to applying early because the evaluation stage won't happen until after the close of the proposal.
Yes.
And that it does take a long time to go from submitting to being evaluated to then getting on contract. But in the long run, it's probably very worth it, given that it's significant amounts of funding. So thanks for that, Andrei. Any other questions from the audience? Okay, well, Andrei will be around during the networking. So if you want to pick his brain, he is full of knowledge about the process and how to apply to a Horizon Europe call. So we are now going to move into an exciting part of our presentation, which is the 1-minute pitches. So I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Katja, that we have one person that has confirmed. So we're going to have one pitch today.
Yes.
All right, great. And I believe it's Piotr. I apologize if I'm not saying your name correctly. Can you hear me?
You're
Okay,
saying
Piotr?
it correctly.
Oh, brilliant. Brilliant.
And-
Now, are you going to be sharing the slides, Katja, or will Piotr?
I don't have slides actually.
Okay, great. Then let me
as
stop
1 minute-
sharing so we can see your face a bit more. And over to you for a 1-minute pitch.
Hi guys, thank you for inviting me. My name is Piotr Świtała and I'm a co-founder of a company called Transcend. We are based in Poland and we are a research and development company that used to be active in the area of image processing, hardware and software development, and more or less a year ago we started pivoting towards space and remote sensing. Currently we work with scientific institutions in Poland on 2 projects. We have already joined 2 consortia. One is to develop a methodology for remote sensing phosphorus levels in plants, and the second one is to develop methodologies and based on that products that would help enable us attributing the level of water, the amount of water used by plants on a particular plot of land by a farmer, so that we could attribute the benefit and money that he is gaining from the water that he's using, that potentially in the future he could be charged for that by the municipal authorities. And why am I talking to you guys here? Well, basically we're looking for partners, for consortia, for Horizon Europe and future projects. And if you're looking for a partner that has experience both in joining R&D projects and then bringing them to a stage where it's a product that can be marketed and sold on the market, then maybe we could chat and build something together. Thank you very much.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you very much, Piotr. That's an excellent pitch, and that's exactly what we're here to do: is help connect the dots and bring different folks together to form consortia. So thank you for that pitch. Well, what we're going to do now, I'm going to share my screen. I just have a few last things to share, and then I will we will move into the networking. So,
Hey,
oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
It's Pablo here from Graniot.
Oh, Pablo. Hey, great. Well, actually, we've got one more pitch. Over to you, Pablo. Do you have slides, or would you like to just speak?
I just have my background, so it's okay.
Perfect.
Perfect. Thank you very much for inviting us to these sessions, to this webinar. I'm Pablo Romero, CEO of Graniot. We are based in Granada, in the south of Spain. And Graniot is the precision farming platform for farmers and agronomists. We improve the decision-making of farmers and agronomists for three aspects: saving time, use efficiently the natural resources, and maximize the prevention in front of the anomalies that they can suffer. Carrying on with these three aspects, we transmit also sustainable agricultural values to them. We are focused on extracting value from satellite data, satellite imagery, from low resolution, 10 per 10 meter resolution, to very high resolution, that is 50 centimeter and 30 centimeter images. So we are the GIS platform for agriculture in the cloud for these farmers and agronomists that facilitates somehow the access to very high value information at a cheaper price. And of course, we are open to participate in these calls of Horizon calls in Europe. So thank you very much.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Pablo. That was excellent. I'm glad you raised your hand. In fact, if there's anybody else that's here that I accidentally missed, that we didn't see, either Isa or Noor, please shout. Okay, I'm not hearing any shouting, so we will move on. So this is our last webinar for the calendar year, but we are expecting and looking forward to more opportunities to share information with you in the coming year. So would love to have you stay up to date. So we've got 2 QR codes up on the screen for those that don't know how to use those. Basically, if you take out your phone right now and hold your phones, put the camera on and hold the camera up to the screen, you'll be able to then click on a link and it'll take you to either the LinkedIn page or the Open Calls Network newsletter. So we'll leave that up for just a minute. And again, these slides will be sent out later. So there's links as well. These QR codes will be available there too. So while I leave these links up, I want to just again thank our speakers so much for coming in, Coco and Andrei and Tom, and for our pitches from Piotr and Pablo. Thank you for giving those today. Thank you for everybody on YouTube for joining in. Thank you for everybody on the Zoom call.